How's it going, Jeremiahs? In today's video, I will be discussing with you what is the difference between a stage piano as well as a home digital piano, which is geared more towards a learner or a home-based scenario kind of piano player and not really made specifically with the stage player in mind, because the requirements of a stage pianist, a stage performer that is playing with a band, is pretty much quite different from one who is in a home-based environment. And the stage keyboardist, the stage piano player, would usually have a certain level of skill proficiency that the kind of features and functions that they require in a stage piano is quite different from a consumer kind of piano. So in this video, I have shortlisted 4 pianos in the $600 range from Casio, Roland, Korg, as well as Yamaha to show you the difference between a home-based piano and a stage piano, so that you are able to make a better informed choice if you're going to be upgrading to your next piano or you're looking for one that will allow you to perform on stage, perhaps in church, with your school band, and eventually when you reach the kind of skill level, you might be playing in a club. So in an ideal world, every stage piano player gets a very fanciful stage piano, like for example the Yamaha CP88 or the Nord stage piano. However, technology as well as sound sampling has come a long way, and I think that for a price of about US $600 is a very decent kind of compromise in price and performance and features that someone who is looking for their very first stage piano can look at. I have shortlisted pianos from 4 different brands around the US $600 range, which I think is a sweet spot in terms of price versus performance. And from Yamaha, we have the P125, which goes for $599 on Amazon. I have made a very thorough review on that piano, and if you want to have a look at it, I will leave a link right up here above. And from Casio, we have the PX-S1000, which goes for $599, and it also gives a lot of value for that kind of price. And from Roland, we have the FP30, which is the most expensive in this lineup, which goes for $699, and it has been around for a little while now, a couple of years, but the Keybed and the sounds has been a massive perennial favorites among piano players. And I approached Korg Singapore to lend me this D1 stage piano here so that I can show you what is the difference between a stage piano, which this D1 is specifically manufactured and designed for, versus the more consumer home digital piano that the other brands offer. One thing about stage piano though that you want to note is that they don't come with built-in speakers, so you're expected to use your own monitor speakers or use headphones when you are back at home or in your studios. That is because the weight penalty from the speakers are usually not necessary and is a burden if you're trying to keep the weight low. They would rather be spending the weight on things which matters more, which is like a very good keybed. So this is something which is found across all kinds of stage pianos like the Yamaha CP or the Nord stage pianos as well. And on the Korg D1, this is the same thing you should expect as well. It doesn't come with built-in speakers. And most stage musicians would have a studio setup at home and they can already connect it to their existing monitors, which is a huge contrast with consumer-oriented home-based digital pianos, which almost always come with built-in speakers, and a lot of them also run off batteries. The number 1 item on my list for a stage piano is that it must have an extremely solid keybed. It should feel as close to an actual acoustic piano as much as possible. And for this Korg D1, this is actually the keybed that is made in Japan, and that is from the Korg LP380. the Korg LP380 is one of the very few digital pianos that is completely made in Japan. Although this Korg D1 is not made in Japan, it is made in China, but the keybed itself, the keybed is from the LP380 and it is made in Japan. And the feel on this keybed is definitely a cut above the rest for this price range. So out of the 4 pianos that I have shortlisted here and that I have tried and reviewed, the one that I prefer the most is the Korg D1 because it really has a very realistic piano touch. And the second one on my list is the Roland FP30 that also has a fantastic keybed and fantastic touch. And the third one is the Casio PX-S1000 and the Yamaha P125, although it has a very good action, but it just is a little bit dated because the graded hammer action that it's using is from the prior generation. However, there is a price to pay for the Korg D1 having such a good keybed, and the price to pay is weight. If you want a good quality, solid feeling keybed, there is no way around it. And the feature number 2 that stands out in any stage piano is that it really has a set of good quality bread and butter sounds. So a stage piano is not concerned about having 1,000 sounds or having loads of rhythms and styles and that kind of stuff. In fact, a stage pianist that plays with a band, we have the drummer who's already doing percussion, we have a singer who's already singing the lead lines, and there's usually a guitar which strums the rhythm as well as a bass player to cover the bass lines. And so really the kind of bread and butter sounds we're looking at are like the electric pianos, the acoustic pianos, the grand piano sounds, a couple of jazz organ sound, pop organ sounds in here, in strings for layering, a couple of pad sounds for layering. So sampling technology has really evolved to a stage and matured to a stage that really there isn't a very big appreciable difference between the Yamaha P125, the Casio PX-S1000 and the Roland FP30 as well as this Korg D1, especially if you're talking about a stage environment where that perceptible quality indifference that you hear over headphones is just gonna be lost in the mix anyway. And feature number 3 that a stage piano must have is 1/4 inch separate left-right line outputs. And for this, the Yamaha has this feature, the Casio has this feature, and the Korg D1 being a stage piano would definitely have this feature, but the Roland FP30 just doesn't have this feature. Feature number 4 is really quick sound selection. So when you're on stage and you want to change your sounds for different songs that's coming up, you want to make sure you can change the sounds really quickly. And on the Casio as well as the Roland, you have to press a combination of buttons as well as specific keys on the piano in order to get the kind of sounds you want, and that is just not going to be quick enough. You need to always keep your function chart beside you so that you know which one to press. And the ability to very quickly layer sounds on the piano is an advantage and is a must-have when you're playing on stage. So for the Korg D1, all you need to do is just press the 2 buttons of the 2 instruments you want to layer, and they are automatically layered without having to fumble through different features, functions, the LCD screen or whatnot just to get it to layer. But one thing I miss about the Korg D1 that it doesn't have and that the other models have is the ability to split the keyboard into two different sounds on each side. I think that is pretty useful if, for example, the bass player is out of action for a specific set and you just want to cover the bass part with a bass voice on the left hand, and it is just a feature that is not found on the Korg D1. And feature number 5 that I look for in a stage piano is the ability to transpose really quickly. So there shouldn't be a lot of button presses in order to get to a specific key. Feature number 6 has progressively been taken out from a lot of the keyboards, and that is proper 5-DIN MIDI in and out port, which the Korg D1 has. It has dedicated 5-DIN MIDI in and out, and this is really useful for connecting to an external tone generator. So on the other brands, usually you get a USB MIDI port. However, that USB MIDI port is usually a USB to host MIDI port, which means that it is meant to be connected to a computer. And if you want to use a tone generator with that, you have to connect from that piano to the computer and from the computer to a tone generator in order to get access to the sounds on the tone generator. Feature number 7 has got to do with how quickly you can access the effects to modify the tone to the way that you want it. On the more consumer-based digital pianos, you have the luxury of time to go through the function chart, to go through the manual, press loads of function buttons many times, and then find which corresponding key on the piano is for a certain effect. However, on stage, you do not have the luxury of time. Feature number 8 is build quality. I expect a stage piano to be built like a tank because it will be tossed about, thrown behind the car, in the car boot. It will be lugged around, trolleyed around, and the Korg D1 is really built like a tank. So we have wooden panels at the side, and you can feel that this is really very solid. Of all the 4 models here, I think the Casio PX-S1000 is the one that doesn't look like it can withstand a lot of tossing about. It's meant to look good, and it does look good, but it sacrifices that kind of build quality for that sort of aesthetics. And feature number 9 is cable management. When you're up on stage, you don't want a massive number of cables that are just sticking out from behind your piano. With most home-based digital pianos, in order to keep costs down, they actually lay out all the ports just right behind the piano. On the Korg D1, you can see that all the ports are located at the side, so that everything is just so cleanly located there that you can just cable tie all the cables, and then you can also use gaffer's tape to kind of duct tape that up, and you get a very nice, clean cable management. I hope this video has expanded your knowledge on what is the difference between a stage piano as well as a home digital piano. Till the next time, I'll see you soon.